And boom, mic's off. There we go. Mic's on now. All right, it is a Thursday. How we doing? Happy Thursday, guys. All right, who we got in the building tonight? Let's see. Curtis Martin, how we doing? Pat Michelle Spring. What's up, guys? What is up? All right, so we are going to kind of pick up kind of where we left off. We're going to just kind of keep on keeping on, if you know what I mean. And so that is with Fusion 360. We've learned quite a bit so far. We've learned, how to put our name on a frame if we want to. We've learned how to put a cool frame. We'll get into it. I'll show you guys on a little bit. First, you guys hear Supreme Court. I'm sure everybody's already heard by now. It happened, I think, a little earlier today. But New York, way to go, New York. Hopefully California can follow soon. Open carry, concealed carry, all of that. That'd be great. Yeah, I know. The mic is on. Yes, although at the beginning the mic wasn't on. So that was kind of my slip for today. So nonetheless, yeah, mic is on. Levels look good. Everything is looking good. Let's see. If we can get, we're at 4 right now. If we can get a little more, if we can get 8, which we might be able to, we will do a spin for the G43 trigger housing. And yeah, the trigger housing, G43 trigger housing. We'll do a spin for one of those. So tell your friends, come on in, come on over. Let's have a good time. I have been busy printing, so if you check out the forum, oh yeah, first things first, boom. If you don't know where to find me, this is where you can find me. We're over at our forum on 2aallday.com. That was kind of where I hang out. If you need to find me or anything like that, links down in the description. Also, Discord down in the description. I'll chat on there 24 hours a day whenever you have a question. Oh, you want to bounce an idea off me or something. You want to check your settings on your printer. You have any questions about a printer, whatever, filament, hit me up. And there's also a couple more people joining in on Discord as well. They got a wealth of knowledge too. So that's always good. You can also check out the store. I'm kind of updating it right now, so some of the Amazon links may or may not work. But essentially, the store is kind of where I put all of the tools that I like, tools that I've used, tools that other people have used, just kind of proven quality, good stuff. Also, you will find the 2A All Day merch store there. I am rocking another shirt. If you remember last week, I was rocking the Wheel of Rights shirt. So this week, like I told you last week, we have a custom logo shirt. So I don't know if you can see it, but essentially it is just our logo. No branding, nothing like that, just the logo. So if you want to get a cool tee, they're super soft. Definitely check out the shop for that over there. And let's see, we're still chilling at 4. So I guess you guys got any questions before, about last week's Fusion stuff? Have you guys tried it at all? Have you dove into Fusion yet? I'm curious to know if you guys have downloaded it, messed around a little bit. Again, these tips and tricks that we're kind of going over right now, you can, I'm just trying to get your feet wet a little bit. So you can take these tips and tricks and, the sky's the limit with them. So that's, again, this is kind of how I've learned. I've learned, one line at a time, one layer at a time, one extrude at a time, one curve at a time. And then I was like, hey, well, what if I just took that extrusion and I combined it with that curve, and then I put a line between the two, and then I used a fillet on it. And then that's kind of where I'm at now. So I'll kind of touch a little bit in the video about, you know what? Yeah, I'll touch a little bit here in a minute about, so the image we're going to be kind of going over in Fusion 360, I'll kind of just show you a little picture of it. It is this Trans Am logo, or like a Firebird, but essentially it is a multicolor print, and that is because if you see right here behind it, I don't know if it'll focus, but essentially there's just different layers, and so if you print something flat with different layers, you can do a layer, like a filament change essentially, and you can get different layers and different colors to pop. So this one here is actually 3 different colors. It's kind of tough to see, but the bottom is a OD brown, then black, and then there is a like a bronze sheen outline around the wingtips or whatever. So nonetheless, this is, I'll just kind of give you a heads up, this is a stand for our Bandit slide, or our Bandit custom Bandit frame. So that I haven't finished building yet. I've been designing this, printing this. This was designed and printed from Fusion 360. So yeah, again, you can kind of see, so that's kind of what the text looks like. That's a design, Fusion 360. That's just some of the stuff you can do. I guess without any questions, I will show you now. Let's jump over to Fusion, and I'll show you how you can put that same bird on the frame of your pistol or file or whatever you're using. And yeah, I guess let's just jump on into it. I'll try to keep an eye on the comments, but while I normally do this stuff, it's kind of tough to kind of comment and also do this without losing my train of thought. So I'll try to review all the questions at the end, but if you got a question, hey, drop it in the comment, let me know. All right, let's kind of jump into this. Let's get over to Fusion. All right, so we're back in Fusion 360. This is kind of where we left off. If you want to see how we got here, check out the other 2 videos that we made to get here. So remember, guys, that we want to live up here, just in these kind of blue function, these blue tools up here. We want to make sure we're on the solid tab, we're in the design plate, and we have our 3-dimensional frame right here. Remember, when we extrude things, we want to save them as components. That's typically the best way. You'll have to experiment with you know, if you want to put on stipple texture or other things, you might need to use the join feature there, because what will happen is when you go to select this plane, see how I'm on the inside of this this outline that we created? Well, because it's a new component, it's hard to explain. It kind of lays on top of the frame. Versus if we were to, when we created this, if we were to select join, what would happen is we'd be able to select just the inside of here or just the outside of here if we wanted to. So that's something to kind of experiment around with. I know I said don't ever use join. I rarely use join. Actually, I don't think I even use it anymore. I did it when I was doing a bunch of different stippling on here, but now I've gotten into putting logos and graphics instead of stippling, or I'll just add stippling but in a different way. I'll add stippling in places similar to how I add this logo. So let's take a look at how to add a logo or a picture onto your frame, and then maybe if you want me to show you how to do stippling, we can do another video on specific like stippling. But this video will cover, or this session here is going to cover just graphics. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of the outline, I guess, so we can turn it off because we don't need it. And the what we're going to do is we're going to insert an SVG. So the type of file that we're going to use is a scalable vector graphic. However you get your file into SVG, it just has to be an SVG. So there's plenty of converters out there. Take a look on the internet, they're free. So insert SVG, it's going to say, hey, where do you want to get it from? And I'm going to go ahead and just choose one that I recently used, and we'll do this one. So boom, it's going to now say, oh, where do you want it? What plane do you want it on? Remember, we're working on the grip, so we want it on the grip plane, so click on the grip. It's going to highlight it, letting you know that's where it is, and let's just flip this back around. So if I zoom out here, you can see this is a huge picture, and it's upside down. I don't want it upside down. So let's shrink it. So in order to scale it and adjust the size, these little arrows right here, so this little quarter moon, if you click and drag it out and in, that's how you're going to scale it. If you want to move it up and down, you can click and drag these arrows here, left and right, up and down, or if you want to move it all around, it's the square there in the middle. So what I want to do, also similar to like Prusa or any of the slicers out there, if you want to rotate the graphic, you can go ahead and rotate it. And also, again, when you're rotating this, you can just take a look over here at the Z angle or any of these numbers that are changing. And if you decided you wanted to use those numbers or your keys to fine-tune it instead of dragging it, by all means, you can go ahead and do that as well. So let's just kind of zoom in a little bit. We want it to be a little bit smaller. And it's still not going to fit really good. We can kind of just place it over just to take a look. Still going to be a little too big here. And so you're just going to have to kind of fine tune it a little bit, and you can do this again with anything. So it could be pictures, graphics, anything that you want, you can pretty much do this with. And so I'm just trying to get it as close, you know, as we can for now. And this is looking pretty darn good. I must say, I don't think I can go much bigger and have it fit here. This was just one that, again, like I said, I was working on. So we can pop it right there. That looks pretty cool to me. Hit finish sketch. That's going to now close out the sketch, close out the picture, lock it into place, so to say. My computer doesn't like me, so it's thinking about it. It's like, I don't know, do I really want to save this right here? It's making me second guess my life choices. Sean, do you really want this picture right here? So nonetheless, I do, so my computer is going to recognize that and agree with me. And then what we can now do is, see, we can start to select different things. Also, you can come in here and you can edit some of this stuff too. So if your graphic comes with extra lines that you don't want or that you don't need, you can also edit them. So a way to edit them would be to open back up the sketch. So you double click on the sketch. It's going to flip-flop it. And now you can, let's say I don't want this line here. Cool, so you can click it and then you can just delete it. And now that line is gone. It's disappeared, and it makes this whole section kind of open, so to say. And let's say that your graphic came in and it imported funny for some reason, and you need this loop closed. Well, what you can do is you can go up here to the line tool or any of the other tools, the arc tool, if it's on a corner or something, or you need to redo a curve, and you can just make sure that you close it. So you see that blue box right there? That means you're at that point there, and you're going to just drag it over to that blue box there, and boom, click, you just made a line, you closed it off, hit escape to get out of that function, and now look, now we've closed it off so we can select multiple different things. So that's a simple way to how to edit a picture or a graphic. You can see clearly that that's the line that I just made and put there. It's just to close that feature off. But let's say now that cool, so we got our two-dimensional object on here. So we can do a couple things. We can start to extrude this off and make it a graphic. So do we like that, the outline, or you know what, I'll tell you what we could do is we'll do a couple different things, because I want this to be multi-layered. I want this to be up a little bit off the frame, so I want it all to be off the frame a little bit. So we will zoom in. Since that's the most outline of it, we're going to extrude that out 1 millimeter. So remember, you can either hit the S key to the search function, type in extrude, and do it that way. I'm going to hit the E key to get me right to extrude. I'm going to type in 1 for 1 millimeter, come down over here to the operation section, and we're going to go ahead and not select join. I'm going to select new component because I may not want this graphic on here in a little bit. So we're going to go new component, and I wanted it 1 millimeter. So boom. It's going to extrude that out 1 millimeter. So if I were to go ahead and look, cool, that's what it's going to look like now. So now we've got a sweet graphic on there. It's coming out 1 millimeter. But let's say I wanted to do have it really be like three-dimensional and really kind of pop. So what I can do is I can turn back on the sketch, and so now I can see these other things. And so now let's say I want some of these to extrude even just a little bit more to give this thing a little more pop, a little more depth. What we're going to do is we're going to select what else we want to kind of extrude out just a little bit more, and we're going to kind of go from there. So let's hold the control key and start highlighting these other features that we want. So we're just going to go through. I'm going to select some of these wings, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because it gets a little small. Okay, so this graphic we can see here, we're going to need to go in and we're going to need to edit and close a lot of these things off because look, it's not fully there, but we can do those. And so I think that looks pretty cool. So it's the wings and all of that. So now what we're going to do, again, hit the extrude key. And so we need to extrude it out. If we were only to do one right now, it would be even with what we just extruded out. Because what we extruded before, if we were to go back and look, was just the outline. And so now if we did one, this would bring it even, so it'd all be flat. And now if we did two, it'd give it just a little bit more pop. So let's do two. And again, we're going to go over to the bottom, and under Operation, we're going to select New Component. And then we're going to click OK. And now we can see, let's take a look. When we come over to the side, we can see that let's turn the sketch off so you can maybe see it a little bit better. You can see double layers. You can see the first initial outline and then the wing layer. So now it's going to be extra beefy. And depending, how you print this, let's say you printed it flat how we're looking at it, which you would never do, but let's say you did this, or let's say this object or this graphic was even on something else, like a 3D gun stand or something. What you could do is, because it's flat, you could do a filament change at this bottom layer or at this layer in between right here, and you could have this bottom layer be one color and this top layer, the extra extruded part, be a different color. So I'll show you what that's going to look like here maybe next week, because I did actually utilize this graphic, and there again you can see the two different layers there. I did use this graphic on something, and I'll have to show it to you. It's pretty cool. And so you can just kind of see that's how you get a graphic in. So you import the SVG on the plane, and you can adjust it and go through, and you can use the line tool and the arches. Like that's what I had to do down here. So for example, oh no, shoot, I don't want to move that. Go back. What I will do is I will turn these things off here. Let's turn back on the sketch. So you can see kind of down here, I'll just walk you through one for example. Sure, let's do this one, why not? So let's open back up the sketch. And let's flip it back around so it's right side up. So we said we were, no, stop. Why are you? My computer does not like it. Okay, so let's say we needed to kind of close this off and make this one solid ring. So kind of like how this is a solid ring around, we want this thing right here to be a ring around, so it closes off this middle section. So sometimes what you're going to have to do is come in here and we're going to say, okay, cool, we don't want that, so let's go ahead and delete that. We're also going to need to open this guy up here, and that's kind of long, but we can go ahead and delete that. I'll show you a way that we can use both. Now we can use line tool, and what we're going to do with the line tool is first we're going to kind of close off this little bottom guy here, and it may look like it's pointy right now, but in the grand scheme of things I don't think you're really going to notice it, because this is a super fine detail again. And so now in this other one it's kind of got an arc in it, so I need to create an arc that will kind of match just a smidge, or at least just kind of have a little bit of a bend in it. And good enough. So we'll go there. And we'll close that up. So now, when I zoom out, what I can do is, just like how I selected this guy here, and this inner part here, I can now select the inner part here, and we'll have a ring and a second ring. So see how I went through and I kind of the way the graphic imported or was converted into an SVG was it had these imperfections in it. So some things that are very complicating like this, and maybe this wasn't a good example, but this will kind of show you as you get into things what you may have to do if you wanted to. Is you're going to have to edit these files, and so that's simply what I did here, is edit these files, and that's how eventually you'll get these sweet graphics like this. And just for an example here, I could go back in, collect that, and hit extrude. All the other ones are 2, so we're going to say 2, not do join, new component, hit OK, and now that's boom. And so you could technically do that with all these other ones here, and they would all be the same. And so that's how you get all those out. And that, my friends, is how you import a graphic onto a 3D firearm, a 3D file. So again, that looks pretty sweet. I like it. And that could be, your personal logo, your brand. You can type on it, you can move it, you can do whatever you want, but that's how you import things onto this, is just the import SVG. Make sure you import it onto the frame, or onto the plane, the correct plane, and you'll be good to go. So next week, I guess maybe we'll do one more of these, because this was just graphics and it was kind of short. Next week we'll do specifically stippling. So we'll get into how to do complex graphics. My computer doesn't really like me and doesn't really like doing those, so it might take me a minute. Might crash, bear with me, but maybe we'll do that next week, depending what you guys say in the comments. I'll go ahead and go take a look at the comments, and let's go back to the main screen, and then I'll try to answer any questions that you guys may have. But in a nutshell, that was how you quickly put on a graphic onto a 3D printed frame. Yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And if, let's say, we can do another thing here too. Let's turn these guys off. See, I like to utilize these a lot. You can turn them on and off. But let's say you actually want this outline, but you also want this cool little Firebird in there as well. So we can turn that back on, and I think you could even do... Can you scale it from here? You might be able to scale it. Move? Let's see if move will let you scale it. Hey, you know what? Watch this. Let's move it. So we get it out of there. And then we'll hit OK. And then what we're going to do is we are going to hit the S key. And let's see scale. Look at that. Scale. We'll just click that. Search for it. Scale. And it looks like it might need to be like, let's try 0.75. Ha! It works. It works. I just gotta figure out how to move it now. 0.75, that might be too big still. What about 0.6? That'll fit. So we'll hit OK. Boom, it changed it, and now we can come over here, right click, then click move, and now we can move it. And oh man, is it still not going to fit? Just barely. Okay, so we'll leave it there, but we can still hit S for scale, or for search, then find scale, and now it just needs to go just a bit smaller, and we want to scale this sketch here. It asked us to select over here, so what entity do you want to scale? And when I was hovering over things, I was trying to select here. So I just clicked on the sketch, and that let me know, let the program know, hey, this is what I want to change the scale of. So let's try to go 0.9. We need it just a smidge smaller. Yeah, that looks like that might do it. And then we can move it over just a smidge. Again, we'll do right-click, move, and we can move it. And so that way, you can now have your cake and eat it too. Hit OK, and look at that. So now we moved our graphic inside of our frame, and we have both. And again, if we wanted to extrude it, we could just, let's say we only want the outline in there now. Well, the other ones are extruded out 2 millimeters, so we're going to hit E for extrude, then we're going to hit 2 and make it even. Or we could actually probably even go a little bit smaller. Since it's in, it would be recessed, might be a little cool, so we could do 1.75. And then when we do that, we'll go down here again, and we will hit new component, because we might not like it, hit OK. And we just put a logo inside of our outline that we have up there. So it looks pretty cool, I think. And let's turn the sketch off so we can really see it. And so it is just the outline, but if you wanted the inverse done or the opposite, you could always go in there and now select, hey, you know what, I want this and all of these other things extruded. So we could always extrude that out 1.75. Again, I think you guys are kind of catching on and getting the gist of how to do this and kind of how simple this really is, especially if you utilize the S key. If you use that search function, that looks even pretty cool. You got the basic bird with the outline. And again, just to see it without the sketch on, so that's essentially how it would print. And it would print just like that. And then you could send it over to your slicer and slice it up with your slicer settings just to see, just because this is what it looks like in Fusion 360 does not mean that's how your slicer is going to interpret things. So, you know, this may end up being too small or too fine of detail on too small of an object. So, you know, you might have to play around with that. Like these lines here, depending on your wall line thickness, you may either have to adjust your print settings in your slicer or come back and make this a little bit bigger. So you will have to play around with it, and that is simple enough. In order to get this over to your slicer, you simply just kind of go up here to File, you hit Export, and then on the drop-down window, you want to export it over to an STL. That's what your slicer is going to read as the STL, so send that export that out to an STL, open that up in your slicer, slice it out with your settings, and you're going to kind of have to find that balance back and forth between what actually works here and what your slicer likes as well, or your printer. So, but in a nutshell, that's how you get a graphic, a logo, a picture, anything you want on your 3D printed frame. That's how you do it. And again, if you like it, or if you don't like it, you can go ahead and, oh, since we did two different separate extrusions, and we saved them as two different components, you can actually add to it if you want to. That's pretty cool. But let's say you didn't even like it. Boom. Let's just go back to the OG outline. Or, hey, let's just go plain Jane, you know, or just a bird. Whatever you want to do. So again, it's your choice how to play with it, but I just wanted to show you, you know, this is components versus if we were to hit join, it's joined in there. And maybe next week we'll touch on join, because I think we will have to do the join function if you want to do stippling this certain way. So there's a couple different ways. I like to do stippling how I just showed you how I import these pictures. We'll all import multiple different patterns of stipple, copy and paste them, and move them individually exactly where I want them. It takes a little bit longer, a little bit more fine-tuning, but that's how I like to do it. If you want to do it very fast and quick, we'll touch on that next week, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go check the comments, check the questions. Hope you guys learned a lot this time. This was session 3. Looks like we will have a session 4. So let me switch back over to the main view. Cool. Fix this a little bit. Cool. So yeah, a lot of good questions. Let's take a look and so operation just like fixing graphics to make stencils. Yeah, I think it's yeah, pretty close to that. Can it really print that small of detail, that fine of detail? Yes, yes it can. There's a couple ways to do that. Like Michelle says in the comments, you can turn on print thin walls. You could get a thinner nozzle if you wanted to. I haven't done that. I probably wouldn't do that, but you could always get a thinner nozzle. You can fine tune your settings in your slicer to get certain details to show up if you want. Just know though, if you thin out your walls too much, or so if you thin out your walls too much, that can create it'll just kind of create some integrity issues maybe, because it's going to print like that for the whole frame. I guess what you could do is you could, in your slicer, I think both Cura and Prusa have like blocks, like shape blocks that you can put over certain areas of your print, so that way you can adjust certain settings that are within this shaded block. I forget what it's called. I'll have to look it up, but I think you can adjust certain settings for certain areas. Let me know in the comments. I think you can, but I just forgot what it's called. But yeah, in a nutshell, it can print really good detail. Go slow. So I would turn your speed of your printer down pretty slow. So I'm talking maybe, so like my first layers, I typically do like, I don't know, 10, 15 millimeters a second, just depending what I'm trying to print. And then from there, it depends what, what my layer height is, and the detail also. So typically a lot of people print with 0.2 layer height. For very fine detailed stuff, I'd probably drop it down to the next setting. The way I have my slicer settings set up is I just use kind of the default settings, and I've tweaked them a little bit. So for Prusa, it's 0.15 layer height. I think in Cura, it might be 0.16, because it likes to go in multiples of 4, because that's the diameter of your 3D printed nozzle is 0.4, so it likes to go, I think research has been done where it's like, hey, as long as it's in multiples of 4, you'll get really good quality. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So that's how you get like those numbers. For some reason, Prusa chose 0.15. I don't know. That's what they did. So yes, it can print those fine details. Let's see. In the walls area, in Cura. Okay, cool. So you already answered him on that. And can you make the extrude walls taller or shorter? Yes. I think you're referring to Fusion, and okay, so you're saying, I think you're talking more about like scaling the wall or making it thicker. So if you want those wings, just the wings to be like thicker, is that what you're talking about? Because if that's what you're talking about, man, I don't know. I haven't tried just doing that. When that's kind of come across, I've either tried to find a different picture that is how I want it, or it takes a lot of time. I've gone through and deleted all the lines around one outline, redid them how I wanted them. So I think that's what you're referring to, because if it's the other thing that I'm thinking of, can you make the extruded walls taller or shorter? Meaning, can you just extrude them more or less? Yes, you can do that as well. So we were just choosing, what did we choose? 1.75 for the bird at the last one, but we've been choosing 2 millimeters to extrude out. And yeah, you can go 5 millimeters if you want. You can go 0.5. And then, like Curtis is saying, that he presumes if you extrude in the opposite direction, that it would become a cut. Yes, it would become a cut. And if you wanted to do a cut, you just put a negative symbol in front. So you'd hit the minus symbol and then minus 2 millimeters, and then it would cut 2 millimeters into the frame. So what you can do on when you're in Fusion, so if you have your file here and you're in Fusion, rotate it this way, and then you can hit the S key to bring up search, and then you can type in measure, and then when you zoom in, you can actually select this point here, and then this bottom point, where was I? Here, and it'll draw like a fake line from point to point, and it'll measure the distance there. So you'll know, oh, hey, look, this is actually 3 millimeters thick. So if I wanted to cut into the frame, I could just go 0.5 millimeters, and that will still give me enough thickness to where it won't really hurt the integrity of the frame, and it'll still kind of give me that cutout that I want. So yes, you can do cutouts like that, and that's one way to do it. Would be, I would measure the thickness of the wall that you're cutting into before I cut into the frame, especially the frame of a firearm, because these were designed certain ways and they were tested certain ways, and I would just hate to see you do a big cutout in the frame and then have something bad happen, because that's the last thing that we want done there. So let's see. Okay, so also touching, I'll look at the questions again here in a second, but I did want to show while I have this. So how I was showing you how we did two different like layers on the bird, like we had the back outline and then the top bird. So what I did was on the first iteration. So this is my one of my bandit frames. One of my first iterations was so I painted it, but I'll try to make it to where you can see it is dual layered like that bird, and the bottom layer is more like a silhouette layer, just so you can kind of see the outline. Because I feel if I posted this, if I just extruded the face out, it would look kind of funny. So I wanted to give it a little bit of perspective, like a little yeah, I guess perspective is the right word. But so if you can see, you can kind of see the black. So that's an outline there. Essentially, my camera kind of sucks. I'm just using my webcam, but that is, if it was a better camera, you'd see that essentially I just took a picture. I took a real picture of Burt Reynolds, Smokey and the Bandit, from online. I ran it through an SVG converter, converted it out, and then I extruded it out into multiple layers. Printed it on two different layers, and then I painted the very top layer, and that's how I got that whiteness. Yeah, it didn't come out super hot on this one, but on my current version of it, it came out great. I blew it up a little bit, adjusted some settings, and tweaked it, and so it actually came out pretty good. And you can tell it's the silhouette. What do they call those? Like breastplates or like breast statues, where it's just like from their chest up, and it's like a head thing. So, anyways, and then I guess in a nutshell, that's what this stand was for. So when I complete out my build, it's a custom stand with the movie, the facts, some cool things about the movie, and it's going to show my custom frame that I built with the Bandit slide from Steel City. So it's going to actually look pretty cool when it's all said and done. I just got to find the time to build it. Got too much going on right now, so let's jump back into these questions. Let's see here. Can I make the, okay, cool. So that's where we left off. The cut. Oh yeah, specialty blockers. Yeah, they're blockers. That's exactly what they are. And you can do multiple things with those blockers. So like I said, you can adjust the settings. You could do support blockers if you don't want supports in certain areas, or if you wanted it to print like 100% infill in a certain area, whatever you wanted to adjust that setting for. Yeah, specialty blockers, exactly. And I think they're called something similar to that in Prusa as well. So let's see what I'm going to do. No raising, lowering height. Okay, so you're saying no raising and lowering height. So like, okay, so like if this was our design and it's flat, you mean raising like the extrusion out, like out this way, extruding it more so you make it more thick? I would say yes, you can do that. And yeah, that's just in the extruding. So again, I'd make it extrude out 5 millimeters instead of 2. I think that's what you're asking. Can you cut or make proud graphics? And it's called a bust statue, sir. Yes, bust. That's breast bust. Close enough. I think that's close enough there. Thank you though for that. And so let's see. Yeah, so that's Fusion. As you can see, like, you just take these tools, and I literally find pictures on the internet. I'll find real pictures, or I'll search for like PNGs. You can even do an SVG search and find a cool graphic. So, you know, like if we were to go to, let's see if I can bring up, just for an example, is it showing on the screen? Cool, it is. But you could just go to Google and search, like, you know, cool pattern. So cool pattern, and so cool, boom, these patterns come up. And so, you know, if you wanted to do, you know, like this type of stipple here, that's you could do that. If you wanted to do, so I have a hex file there. So watch, another thing that you could do, I'll just show you really quick, is you could do a simple pattern, and let's just pick one. So the hex is pretty cool. I just want a plain, I forgot what these what are the patterns called that never end? Like, you can essentially take this square and put it on the next side. Anyways, for example, screw it, I'll just use that. Oh yeah, cool. We could use any of these. So you could just save the image. And this might take freaking forever. I'll just save it. And I'm not sure if I pick SVG. So this is where I would convert your stuff. Free website. Again, I just Google SVG pick. This is what I use. It's very easy. So you come over here, you click upload picture, you find the picture you want to upload. So we just did that. It's a PNG. It doesn't matter what format. It could be a JPEG, could be, you know, whatever you want. And then you're going to scroll down. And so this was your original picture over here. This is the picture that it created. If that looks okay to you, you can download it and use it. But what I do is I go through these settings up here and choose what one I like best. And you'll see like, boom, that makes the lines a little thicker. And some of them will just bring out a little bit more detail. And so we can just choose whichever one we want. It's going to take a while to load. But anyways, so that's where I find, I don't know why that's so weird. It's not loading that one. That's how I get graphics and stipple patterns, or you know, designs or anything like that. Like the logo right here, the Smokey and the Bandit logo. I literally typed in Smokey and the Bandit logo, found a picture of it, ran it through this website, turned it into an SVG, popped it into Fusion, edited it a little bit. I had to correct two of the lines, and then I extruded it out. So that is yeah, that's kind of how you find what you're looking for. And you know, the sky really is the limit when it comes to these custom designs and the power that Fusion has and what it can do for your custom frames. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Cut out, cool. Yeah, can the top plane of the extrusion be at an angle instead of being parallel to the plane? For example, giving it a checkering look. Yes, it can. That would take a little bit more. So it depends. I'm sure it can, and it all depends on the pattern and the graphic. Man, I wish I had my other frame right next to me because I would show you. Yeah, you can chamfer things, or you can. There's other settings inside of Fusion that will let you kind of do that. And there's always a way to work around it. I don't know. There's always a way to do it. So, for example, I was on a frame and I was trying to kind of do that. How the Strike 80s have that cut in, like right here they have that diagonal cut in. So I wanted that on my other frame, and so I was like, oh man, how am I going to do this? And it was a diagonal plane, so yeah, I had to extrude it out and then turn it sideways so I could see it, and then cut it and like extrude a cut into it to make it that way. Was the only way that I found out how to do it, but I'm sure there is a way to kind of do what you're asking it to do. I just don't know the specific name of that function, but I'm sure there is a way. I'm curious. I'm gonna try to Google it and look it up and see if I can't learn how to do it. Once I learn how to do it, I'll definitely make a quick little video and I'll show you guys how to do it as well, because that would be pretty cool, especially for like a pattern like this that we're looking at here. You know, if you could have these vertical ones here, you know, doing one thing, and then these other ones over here going a different way, just so that way, and if you used a cool filament, the way that light would reflect off of those cuts, that would look pretty sweet. So yes, there is a way to do it. It would just take some playing with. I don't know how to verbally explain it right now, but there is a way. So that is a really good question. Or is it done by using a staircase to simulate a beveled edge around the image? Hey, that's one way to do it. You could definitely do a staircase around it. And to be honest, at my stage, like at my level of using Fusion 360, that's probably how I would do that. I would probably do that staircase method with this. I would just extrude these at just little different lengths. So like this one would be 0.5, this one would be 0.7, this one would be 0.6, this one would be 0.5, like, and that would also kind of get you that offset type of look. It won't get you that diagonal cut look that I think you're really looking for, but it's kind of like a way to cheat it and to do it that way. So great question. That is something that I have to look into to see if I can learn that. So, all right, I think we've covered quite a bit. Do you guys have any other questions? Man, Curtis bringing the heat tonight with these good questions. I like it. Hope you guys like the show. You know, with the lag going on here, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to see, you know, if any other questions kind of pop up. You guys excited for the weekend? What you guys got going on? 4th of July is almost here. America's birthday. It's going to be great. Hopefully California doesn't burn down. Yeah, I'll be hanging out with the family. So, you know, we're going to have a safe 4th of July. And all right, well, I don't see any other questions popping up, guys, so I'm not going to stay on here and take up too much more of your time. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight for 3D Thursday. Definitely appreciate it. You know, Curtis, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you back in the chat again next week. Sprink, thank you very much. Michelle, thank you. We are missing, where's Raymond at? This is like the 3rd week. Hey, we all need to go blow up Raymond's chat right now and be like, Raymond, where are you at? Because I haven't seen him in the chat tonight. So, yeah, we need to go find out where he's at. We're missing actually a couple people. I think last week we had, what, 7 people? 6 or 7 people? Yeah. Maybe it does need to burn down. True. Good point on that one. Touche there. Touche. So, anyways, guys, next week I will try to do the stipple thing. Again, it's using the function where it's what did I say, the join function, and I just really don't like that function. It's caused me so much headache in the past. I really just don't like it because it's permanent, and I've had to make like 10 frames of the same frame with different things on it just because I use the join function, and I swore to myself I would never again use the join function. But you know what, I'll take one for the team, and I'll do it for you guys. So we'll learn join next week, and we'll dive into that, and we'll dive into the stipples, and we'll do a pretty cool pattern as long as my computer doesn't die. And yeah, thanks again, guys. Yeah, where's Nico? Nick, missing you too, bud. So that's 2. So look, we'd be up to 7 if we had one more. If one of you guys brought a friend, bring a friend to work day, bring a friend to 3D print day. We could each, you know, do that raffle for the G43 trigger housing. So although those are popping up in stock quite a bit lately, I don't know if you guys have got them or if you need them or what, but they are popping up into stock. And then I think the CLs are still in stock somehow as well. So, but it is the OD and the FDE. If you guys come across a Cobalt 1, let me know because I do want that. So good night, guys. Oh, Nick, there you are. How long have you been here? Were you in here earlier? Did I see you here earlier? And just, am I an idiot? Oh, no, I didn't see you earlier. Oh, you've been paying attention in the background. Gotcha. Okay. I won't put you on blast then. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. And we will see you again next week for the 4th installment of our videos. So, or of our training session. Hope you guys have a good one. Be safe.